Are you ready to break through the mental barriers holding you back? Welcome to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Don Grant. Since 2001, Don has been guiding elite athletes like PGA Tour champions, Olympians, and world champions, and everyday individuals toward peak performance. With a proven track record, including helping Vijay Singh win the 2008 FedEx Cup, and her PGA Tour clients averaging a 219% increase in earnings. Dawn knows what it takes to succeed. She's the inventor of the Mind Mastered app, author of 7 Strokes in 7 Days, a sought-after speaker worldwide, and the proud owner of Amelia Shotgun Sports in Northeast Florida. Join us as we dive into powerful strategies, inspiring interviews, and Dawn's unique insights to help you excel in every area of your life, sports, career, relationships, and beyond. And now, here's your host, Don Grant.
Well, I'm super excited to have Dallas Hempstead here, who I've known, we're just figuring it out, maybe 20 years or so, maybe just under 20 years, which neither of us can believe. We both had offices upstairs from the Palace.
Yep.
Yeah. So Dallas, tell us a little bit about yourself and let people know who you are. I'm sure they've seen you around town. Tell the listeners, who is Dallas Hempstead?
Yeah. So I grew up here in Fernandina Beach. Started first grade here, moved down from Montana when I was young. So this is home. I run a financial planning business through kind of a franchise setup, but through Northwestern Mutual. And I live here with my wife, Jackie, my 2 kids. Layla is 9, Mick is 6. They go to St. Michael's on the island, and we love living here and love this community. It's our forever area. I got lucky enough when I was in high school and going through college that I realized what a gem we have on this island and not wanting to move away from here, where I think a lot of my friends moved away for bigger and better and shinier things. And I just stayed right here and loved every minute of it.
Such a great area to live and to raise kids. And what brought you here from Montana? How'd you find it?
So it's kind of an interesting story. So I was 7 when we moved, but my mom and dad came to me and said, we're moving to an island in Florida. And I immediately thought Gilligan's Island, sand, beach, 2 palm trees, and our house. The only thing I'm getting, as a 7-year-old, that's what I was thinking. But how we got here, my dad's best friend's friend was military. And he convinced Rock to come down here. And when Rock got down here, he called my dad and said, hey, I need a lead technician. My dad was a mechanic, and Rock was a service director. And he said, hey, I need you down here. I need a lead mechanic. And my dad said, is there any snow in Florida? And obviously he knew that answer already. He said, yes, we will come down. So me and my mom flew down, and my dad drove a 69 Bronco down from Montana to here. And I started off first grade here in 87, 88, somewhere in that ballpark, and been here ever since.
Right there at Fernandina? Is that where you went to school and lived?
Yep. Started at, I guess it was Southside Elementary at the time, and we grew up right off of Citrona on Mallard Lane, which was a great area of the island. I could hop on my bike and go just about anywhere, which was a really central location. We loved that area, loved those neighborhoods growing up.
Nice. That's great. Do you have very many memories of Montana?
Not a ton. I go back quite often. In fact, I'm heading up there in about a month. I'll be up there again. My grandmother still lives there. But memories I remember, in wintertime, in kindergarten, I'd have to walk to school, and I can actually say that I had to walk to school in the snow, uphill both ways, although the hill in between was only about 10 feet tall. Still uphill both ways in between the school. And I remember we'd stop and make snow angels about every 20 feet. It probably took us 30 minutes to walk about 300 yards to get to the school.
Oh, my goodness.
So I remember that. I remember, Christmas is out at my grandparents' farm. They were wheat farmers, so being out there on the farm and seeing the just fields of white during Christmas when it was snow, and then in the summer, just the golden wheat, just as far as you could see. Um,
Sounds
yeah,
beautiful.
little memories that I have from as a kid, and then a lot of memories as an adult from me going back over there.
And visiting family and doing some holidays and such over there.
Yep, my grandmother's there, 87 years old, I think it is right now. So I'm going to visit her in October, and it's I love it over there. It's called Big Sky Country. You can see forever, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. Highly recommend anybody who's never been to Montana, go to Yellowstone, go to Glacier National Park, go see it. It's something unlike anything else in this country.
My fiance said that he always thought he would retire and live in Montana the rest of his life. So a few years ago, we went to Yellowstone together, and we went out the north entrance, and we stayed about 45 minutes north. And it wasn't what we had envisioned at all for Montana, or what you see in movies and all that, which I know there are plenty of people that absolutely love what seemed like rolling hills to me, but it didn't seem like forest and woods and streams and mountains. And I was a little, I don't know, shocked or surprised. So we drove probably 30 minutes north to what would be one of the cities, and we still didn't find what we were looking for, but we learned after we should have headed west, right?
Yep. Yeah,
That's
eastern
what Big Sky.
Montana is more of your wheat fields, grasslands, and western Montana. The further west you go, you get more into the Rockies, and so you were just on the edge of it. You probably went through that north entrance and stayed at like Gardner or something like that.
Yes, that
So
sounds familiar.
the further west you get more into the mountains. You're right in the foothills, basically, of the mountains, right?
Yeah, again, I was really surprised. So it's not at all what I expected. So I know we need to go back, and we need to go to more like Big Sky and areas like that, right?
There's a cool place. If you look up Flathead Lake, it's one of the clearest lakes in the maybe the world. I'm not sure, but there's pictures of it where people are floating on it, and it looks like they're floating in the air because you can see the bottom. And that's up kind of that northwestern Montana. It's a beautiful part of Montana.
Nice. So tell us about some of the highlights or accomplishments in your personal and professional life.
Man, and professional is just continuing to build the business. And really a lot of it, I think, highlights would be building my education. This year, I got 2 new designations. One is a qualified professional financial consultant. It's for qualified plans. So it's working with 401ks, retirement programs for businesses. And then the other one I got was a chartered special needs consultant, which is more specific education in dealing with kids with special needs and different circumstance of planning to help prevent your clients from making bad decisions that would potentially prevent them from getting state funding.
Oh,
So it's a
interesting.
special style of planning that needs to be done for anybody with a child with special needs.
And event planning for that child as the child grows up.
Yeah, so what happens is, if you have parents and a child with special needs and the parents pass away, their intention a lot of times is to leave the money to their kid.
Yeah.
But in reality, if money's left to the child, you're going to preclude them from getting state benefits. And
Right.
so there's trust planning that you have to do, special needs trust. And then you got to put money into that, not giving it to them directly.
I have someone to refer to you. I
Yeah,
know that they've not even thought about that. So
yeah,
that's
there's a
great.
lot to it. If you just give it directly to them, then almost all your state benefits are going to start disappearing.
Okay. Good
So
to
you
know.
still
That's
need an
really
attorney
interesting.
involved. An attorney has to drop a special needs trust, but then it's just rearranging beneficiaries and how you set up things, and just
Good to know.
slightly different design and how you let money pass through.
When did you start your career?
So I started my career right out of college. This was 2000 and into 2003, beginning of 2004. So right at 20 years, or just over 20 years now.
What got you into it?
I had in college, I had taken some financial courses at UNF, and I really liked the money side of things. I liked financials, and I was always great at math, so it kind of fit me. I initially thought I was going to go up to Wall Street and be a broker on Wall Street, and I went up and visited New York a couple times, and I like visiting. There's no way I could live there. And in fact, I kind of joke around. It's the redfish that kept me in Florida. There's no redfish to catch up in New York, and I love to fish. So Florida just seemed like a better fit for me than New York was.
I got you. Do you fish a lot? Do you get out there?
You know, I don't fish as much as I'd like to. I used to fish probably 5 or 6 times a month, and now I probably fish, maybe once a month. Just with the kids and life and coaching baseball for kids and all that stuff, it just
Yeah, different times of your life. I'm having a flashback. I think I've seen your boat with the wrap on it.
So that's a boat that I sponsored. It's not my boat. It's Captain Tim Altman. He's one of the best wahoo fishermen out there, and that was a marketing thing for me, just to because I love fishing. I like working with people who love to fish too. Just we have something in common. So, I sponsored his boat, paid for the wrap, and they put my name and number and everything on it. And probably seen it there at the yacht basin in town.
I have. Joe and I have a slip there, and he loves fishing. He's been fishing since he could walk, but he's from South New Jersey. And so fishing's really different down here than what he's done his entire life. So for 3 years, we've barely caught anything together. We just hired a captain just earlier last week. Holy cow. We caught like 10 reds, flounder, trout, drum in like 4 hours. And unbelievable. We caught more fish with him than we've caught in years.
Our charter captains, they spend every day on the water. They know where the fish are and can follow them and track them. That's what gives them such a unique value.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you love finance. You are in a career related to finance. Do you love what you're doing? Do you still enjoy it?
I do. For me, what really kind of keeps me going is the new stories that I get to hear. Every time I meet with a new prospective client, I get to hear about their family, their goals, their dreams, ambitions, what's most important to them. And then we help put a plan in place to help them reach those dreams. And, that's a really cool part of it. And then the other part of it is my clients that I've had for a while. Well, we're doing reviews and we're looking at what we wrote down 10 years ago. And we're like, hey, look, we accomplished, 5 of the 6 of these things. And so that's really cool to kind of look back and see some of those dreams come to fruition and watch people achieve them. And I'm just kind of along for the ride with it. They're the ones doing all the work, but it's kind of fun to tag along and see those dreams be accomplished and then new dreams being set. So
that is cool.
That's the funnest part.
I could see that. I would enjoy that. So what's your official title?
Official title is Wealth Management Advisor. That's what's on my business card and on my email signature. But I always tell people I'm a financial planner. One of my biggest designations, or the most well known, is Certified Financial Planner. And a lot of what I do really wraps around that financial planning. I have different products that I put in place for clients, whether it be life insurance or disability insurance or long-term care, or investments, setting up 401ks or IRAs or brokerage accounts. But really it all stems from putting that financial plan together and kind of really mapping out what their dreams and goals are, and then seeing what products we need to put in place to help achieve the financial plan. So that's really the key to it, is planning.
I got you. So if you were to explain or describe your mind, what are your strengths and what have you seen, that's just been a part of you most of your life? Like what kind of brain do you have and how's that fitting in with your career?
I'd say part of it is simplistic in a way, in that when I first started at Northwestern Mutual, they told me, hey, here's the 4 key things that you need to do to be successful. You need to get, X amount of referrals every day. You need to see X amount of people every day. You need to make X amount of phone calls every day. And you need to ask people to do business with you. Make a decision, either yes or no, but make a decision. And I just took that and just said, all right, here's my groundwork. Here's my direction. And as long as I can continue to do that every day, I'm taking one step forward, one step forward. So kind
Mhm.
of simplistic in nature, that it's just a mindset of everything I do has got to be one step forward from where I'm at today. Try not to go backwards, try not to go sideways. Don't get distracted. Just, an eye on the goal and keep walking towards it.
Yeah, I remember you helping me years ago. And one of the things I think about your personality that I recall is just being very personable and just not sales pitchy at all, and just kind of honest and sincere, and really like you truly just wanted to help, which I think is great, because some people can seem pushy or sales pitchy, or even a bit desperate for, let's say, the deal or the sale, right? And none of that ever came across in our conversations.
That's probably my biggest flaw in my business, is that I'm not more pushy sometimes. Um, I've always had that mindset of, hey, I'm here to help. Here's what I can do. And the downside of that, where the negative comes in, is if somebody doesn't show much drive for wanting to get it done, I kind of walk away and go find the next person. And sometimes I should push them a little bit more to help them make smart decisions. But I've never been a salesperson, never been that pushy person. And I've tried to get better at that to, help good people make the right decisions.
Yeah.
But I've never been one to keep going at somebody and push them too far.
That'd be an interesting balancing act, especially because you likely have more expertise and knowledge or insight on that particular topic than they do. So you're hearing or witnessing something that you could potentially help them. But if they're resistant in any way or just not taking initiative, it's hard to help someone who's not wanting to help themselves, or who isn't open or receptive to the information, right? I would say I experienced the same thing. So, like, you got an expertise, my expertise related to just being a healthy person, right? Happy, healthy, stress-free, productive, or whatever. And I can see when somebody's kind of their worst enemy. And it can be friends, it can be family, it could be people in the community, or just listening to people and how they're talking or how they're complaining. And I have to zip my mouth constantly, because if they don't ask me for help, I'm not going to give it. I had to learn that. I used to just try to offer to help anyways, but it's such a interesting thing. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yep.
How do you handle when somebody says no, or what seems like rejection? How do you handle that?
That used to be something that bothered me, because I used to take it personally. But what I've learned over time is it's never, ever been about me when somebody says no. It's usually about them. It's a situation that they're in, particularly with what I do. When they tell me, no, I don't want to, start saving for retirement, or no, I don't want to purchase life insurance. There's usually something behind the scenes that I don't know about. A lot of times I'll find out later. I remember a lot of times in the past where I'd have somebody that, was a single, or not a single, but the main breadwinner for a family, and they had kids. And I said, you have no life insurance. We probably need to get life insurance. I need to protect your family, because if something happens to you, your family has no income. And then they decide not to do anything. And then I find out later that they're going through a divorce. And
Hmm.
it wasn't my recommendation. It wasn't me they were saying no to. It was the circumstance they were in, and they just couldn't make that decision at that point. Or sometimes when people said no on the retirement side, no, I don't want to save. I don't want to set up a Roth. I don't want to do any investments. And then I find out that they got more debt than they alluded to, and maybe they didn't want to share that with me. But I'd say that was probably more early on in my career.
Hmm.
Most of the times now, when I get a chance to sit down with somebody face to face and we put together a financial plan together, it's usually not if they're hiring me, it's just how they're going to hire me. What ways am I going to implement, strategy for them and help them out? So part of that is maybe just getting better referrals and better introductions to clients Maybe it's the age of my clients. I'm dealing with a lot less 25 and 30-year-olds, and more of my clients are in their 40s and 50s. And actually, a lot of them are probably retired clients now because of the wealth management side. So a
Right.
couple of things are different. Those people are a little bit more open to hearing advice, and also knowing that they need it, and not being trying to be an expert at everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. And I like that you said something like there's likely something for them. So you have so many different things that you offer, so many different areas that you're knowledgeable in, that you could probably make it fit for wherever they're at in their life, even
Yep.
if they're resistant or something. Or
I joke around and say there's only one person that I've ever met that I can honestly say I could not have helped. And this was a oil tycoon that had multiple attorneys on their staff, had oil revenue coming in that would never run out. And there's literally, I sat down with them. They were open as a book, and we went through everything. And I was like, man, you really have taken care of almost everything I can think of.
yeah.
But outside of him, almost everybody that I've sat down with, I've been able to offer some advice. Sometimes it's not them becoming a client of mine, but hey, think about making this little switch to your portfolio, or think about changing this, or, setting up this, go talk to this attorney. So usually I've been able to create an impact one way or another, and leave them in a better place than when I've met them, even if they didn't find them.
Nice, nice. How would you say having a good support system helps you related to being successful at what you do?
Man, that's 100%. Without a good support system, I think you can get into too many negative thoughts, particularly in my business. Rejection, you're not good enough. People don't want to talk to you. People don't want you to help them. You can have a lot of negative thoughts and it's probably with any sales industry. You can have that, but having somebody at home that's a support system that says, hey, you're great at what you do. You're awesome. People need to meet you. That's a huge advantage, because it helps really set your mindset up to be successful. If you got somebody telling you in the background that maybe you shouldn't be doing this maybe isn't right, that's just going to create that self-doubt that just creeps into your head and that takes over your thoughts.
For sure. Especially if you've had one of those days or a few days where it seems like things just aren't going your way. Don't those seem to come in pairs or threes or
Yep.
tens sometimes?
Sometimes tens, yes.
Yeah. How much do you feel your mindset and staying positive helps you to continue to succeed? So I'm making an assumption that you feel you are successful, which I feel you are. I've watched you over the years. And so how much of that comes from your mindset, your brain, how you're thinking each morning and throughout the day and such?
I'd say mindset is really key to it. I have 20 years in, I've built a pretty good business. That has also allowed a little bit of a mindset shift for me too. And it goes back to the pushiness of a salesperson as well. I don't need the next sell to feed my family or to pay my mortgage. So there's not a need for that style of sales anymore. So that helps with my mindset, be able to just focus on the client instead of on how am I going to earn business from this client. In fact, it was kind of interesting. I had somebody question why I was doing something the other day, and I'd said, this is just the advice that I have for you. Part of sometimes my advice is saying, just stay where you're at and don't hire me. And they were really taken back by that and surprised that I wasn't trying harder to get their business. And I said, hey, you got a good situation where you're at. You like your advisor you're working with. Your asset allocation looks great. Your fees are relatively priced. If you have no reason to switch, then don't switch. If you just absolutely love me and you want to switch, then we can talk. But I don't see your advisor isn't done anything wrong. They're doing a pretty good job for you. And it's kind of different when people hear that. But that helps with I guess in my industry, when you have that mindset of not not needing every client you meet with or the next client. You can focus more on the client and make sure you're doing what's absolutely right. What actually, and that, it also helps really your success in the long run.
It really does. And it's stuff like that that you can't really track either. But that leaves a memorable impression for that person. And down the road, well, they might switch right away just because they like your attitude about it and your openness. And they might switch down the road if they feel like that maybe something has changed. But they would definitely recommend you to somebody that might be looking that they know. So it does pay off. And I think that that's an important aspect of being successful at what you do and probably at a lot of other different careers. Another thing that came to my mind is that's called a hierarchy of needs. And it's like a pyramid. And the big bottom chunk is the need for like security, food, shelter, and all that. And that big chunk at the bottom of that pyramid, it basically means that, if you don't have food and shelter and can pay the bills and all that, then you spend most of your time and energy working on that. And once you have that chunk taken care of, you can move up. And at the very tip is like spirituality. And there's a few, other chunks in between. It's like what they believe or what they found is you can't really take care of your more spiritual higher self, or let's say even exercising and eating well and all that if you are solely focused on where am I going to sleep tonight, or do I have money to pay the mortgage or whatever. And when people are functioning at that level, they're not doing it on purpose, but they can definitely come across as pushy or desperate or lacking in confidence, or definitely that rejection to them means a whole different thing than it means to somebody else, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember that when I first was getting started, rejection 20 years ago hurt a lot more because I needed that next client. I needed to pay the mortgage. I needed to, pay my truck payment. There's a lot of needs back then, and, those no's hurt a lot more.
Definitely.
But like you said, when you're focusing in on that bottom tier, you have to focus on that because those are your critical needs that you have to have, met, in order to move up and do better.
The bare necessities. Have you observed over the years your intuition or your gut feeling or your inner guidance? Like, have you noticed that, not number one, if you have it, and number two, if it's helped you at pivotal moments?
I would say yes. I've had a pretty good gut instinct for a long time. I didn't always listen to it, probably like I should have. But I try to pay attention more to it now. And over the years in my business, whether it's just knowledge or gut feeling, I have a pretty good idea after I've met a client, or a prospect, whether they're going to become a client of mine, or just in general meeting somebody. I can get a feeling about somebody, and usually it's pretty good about, hey, this person is, somebody that I want to work with, or, this is probably not the type of personality that I want as a client. And so that gut feeling has helped, because when I've gone against it and I've taken on some of those clients, afterwards, I'm like, I knew it from the get-go. I should not have taken on this client. But yeah, it's, and I think most people have a fairly good gut instinct if we would just listen to it.
Yeah, I've had similar experience related to, it's almost like an evolution through time. If you're paying attention to gut feelings, there's a period of time where I reflected back and was like, knew better, right? And I should have followed that feeling. That feeling was there, and I knew it. I knew it was there, but I didn't listen to it. For me, that had happened so many times that eventually I went, hold on, like, I'm feeling that feeling. I've ignored it in the past many times, and I'm going to listen to it this time. And it was like a very mindful decision to start listening to it. And I don't mean that it's foolproof and I listen to it all the time, but I listen to it more. But it's really from not listening to it that I figured out I need to start listening to it. There was, when I used to do private sessions all the time, I would ask a lot of the and most of them were men. So I'd ask a lot of the men, do you believe in intuition? And I went in thinking women know about intuition, but I didn't really think men were familiar with it. But they proved me wrong. I literally 100% of the men that I asked all said, absolutely, I know what it is, and it's helped me make really pivotal decisions in my life, which I thought was really cool. And that's one of the reasons I like to ask that question. People can usually look back and see like these serendipitous moments or these really interesting chance meetings that changed the direction for them, and they followed it. You
Oh,
feel like
sure. Quick story of one. This was beginning, maybe it was late 2007, maybe early '08. I had the house that I'd had that was over by where you lived on in Hickory Village at the time. Bought that house when I was 23, and I was getting ready to buy another house. I was going to move in and turn mine into a rental. And this was right before everything was crashing. I was at the closing table at the attorney's office for the new property, and something just didn't feel right. And I ended up walking away from the deal at the table.
no way.
And everything crashed like months later. And that house I would have been so far upside down in. I wouldn't have been able to rent out my other property. Had I closed on that property, I probably would have had to have, let one of them or both of them go. Probably just one of them, because I would have needed a place to live.
Right.
Walked away at the table, and it saved me dearly by doing so.
The amount of confidence and courage to have done that at the table, because a lot of people, again, they would have talked themselves out of it. They would have feared that they were in the wrong, or they were misreading something, or just doubting themselves. And there's so many things that could have caused you to stay, like just not wanting to be embarrassed, anything. So it says a lot about where you were in your mindset at that time to be able to truly walk out and not turn around.
Yeah, the realtor and the mortgage broker were not very happy with me, but it was one of the better decisions financially that I ever made, was not buying that property.
Well, and another important aspect is not caring what people think. Like, and if you are truly following yourself, following your own passion, your own desires, your own interests, your gut feelings, it really can't be about what other people think. It has to be about what you're feeling and what you think and what's right for you, because what's right for you isn't right for everybody.
Now that is one thing that I wish I would have learned a lot earlier, is care less about what other people think. I've always been a people person. I've always wanted to be liked, and that's probably human nature. I think everybody does that. I might have more of that in me, wanting that people to like me. And I still want people to like me, but I needed to care less about what other people thought about me, and just be me. And I can't remember who it was. Somebody, there was a quote that I heard and it was, don't worry about what other people think about you, because it's none of your business.
Yeah, I like that.
And it makes a lot of sense. If we not to the point that we need to be mean to people or should be mean. That's totally the opposite of what this means, but just caring enough about yourself to make the decisions that are in your best interest, and not worrying about what others might think about the decisions.
It's so true. And then obviously you're married and have kids, so you consider them also. And I know that you're factoring that in, because that's part of it. But the more that I'm in the public eye, but also the more like Amelia Shotgun Sports, customers, right? So there's and multiple employees. And so different from having the mental training where it was me with a client, right? And doing a private session, very different. I might have had an assistant at times, but the Shotgun Club that I've had now for 7 years or so, had customers that like or don't like me, employees that have liked or don't like me. And I have had to learn to try to not let it bother me. 'Cause in a situation like that business, which I imagine other businesses are similar or the same, I mean, you just can't please everybody. And it seems like no matter how many hoops you jump through, and no matter how much you keep thinking you're improving the place or doing good, there's still people that are going to complain, and some of them harshly,
Yeah. You'll never please everybody.
Yeah, and you
People
only can.
don't like change either. I mean, anytime something changes, change can be hard for people. Good, bad, or indifferent, change can be hard.
I think the only way to stay sane is to not care. And it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't mean not caring. It still can be a caring person. But if you let every single person's opinion affect you, that you would be struggling, right? I mean, we would be
Drive you
losing sleep.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you said you wished you learned it earlier. I don't know if we could learn it earlier. I think it is through our experiences that we learn that one.
Sure. It's probably why my next door neighbor is 75 and he is like, I don't care one bit. He's had that experience and he's just like, if it's on his mind, he's going to say exactly what's on his mind. He doesn't care one iota what he says.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. Because at the same time, I think we have the responsibility recognizing even my opinion is just my opinion. The same way that that's just their opinion, right? That other person, they're entitled to their opinion, but it's theirs. It's not mine. And then the same for me, like, so whether or not I share my opinion, I think is just a matter of whether I think it's appropriate or not, or if I'm asked, maybe that's even better. But otherwise, it's just my opinion,
Yep.
I think social media kind of has given people an opportunity to voice those opinions and then get upset if somebody else's opinion isn't what they think it should be. And then they can comment and attack or try to sway somebody else or manipulate. There's all sorts of things like that going on related to opinions. Yeah. So are you ongoing in trainings and always kind of learning and growing in your career? How does that work for what you do?
Yeah, so there's kind of two parts of that. One is I have certain requirements by law or for my licenses as well as my designations that I have to fulfill, so many hours of continuing education. But the other part of it is just continuing to learn because the market changes, people's needs change. There's more that I can learn and just continue to build and strengthen my knowledge. And it does a couple of things. It helps boost my confidence. It boosts my knowledge, and then it allows me to better help and assist my clients. And kind of almost lean back to what I said earlier about when I get to meet somebody now, there's almost something that I can do to help them out with. I think that's because my knowledge has changed so much over the last 20 years that I've got more expertise and knowledge in different areas that I can create more of an impact. Where when I first started, it was life insurance and really a Roth IRA. Those are kind of the two things that I knew really well. And if it was outside of that, I may not notice that there was an issue or may not notice that somebody needed to put some attention in one direction. But now I can see things a little bit better in that area. And sometimes I tell people, hey, I know enough to be dangerous, but I can tell you need to take some time and help here. And here's who I recommend you talk to, whether it be a CPA or an attorney or something like that, or a business consultant. But I can kind of see some of those holes now with that ongoing education. So it just helps me be better, help me better serve my clients.
So great to have someone like you in a person's corner. And what's coming to my mind is the book from, I think, the 1800s, Think and Grow Rich. And what he talked about was you don't have to be a master of everything. Like every person has their skill set or their passion, and that's kind of leading them down a path. But, follow your skill set and your passion, but don't feel like you have to know how to do everything. Be an accountant, be an insurance agent, be a financial advisor, be a doctor, be a dietitian. Like there are people that's their passion and their skill, and then when they're getting trained in. And he would talk about having what he called mind mastered groups and meetings and being able to, turn to the right person when you need help for a specific thing, but don't feel like you have to learn it all and study it all yourself. Like get people in your corner that you trust, that know their area and their expertise that you get along with, you enjoy their company, and that's who you turn to. And I could see you being that for a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great analogy. I always tell people I'm the quarterback, and I'll be able to, direct where we need to go from there and bring in the experts where they're needed.
So you mentioned being someone who cares and obviously likes to take care of people. People like that tend to not take really great care of themselves. So have you noticed, if you're giving your all to what you do, have you gone through times where you don't take care of yourself and how you're eating, how you're sleeping, exercise, downtime? Like, what have you observed over the years related to that?
On the financial side, I've done really well on that part. Because I've always said I would never recommend somebody do something that I haven't already been doing myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried to live by that and have done well on that side, making sure that I've taken my own advice. But what I lack from is sometimes I spend so much time working that I'm not at the gym like I should be. That's probably my biggest downside, is where I'm lacking in taking care of myself is gym time and eating healthy. I'll go through spurts. In fact, I was telling my wife yesterday, I said, I just gained back the 15 pounds I had lost, so I need to get back and focus on it.
That is a thing. I've found that I have to be super deliberate about those things, because especially being an entrepreneur and someone who loves what they do, it's so easy to just jump in, from the moment I open my eyes till it's dark or even past dark, because there's always things to do. And because I do enjoy what I do, it'd be very easy. And it is very easy for me to do that. So I have to deliberately stop myself to go do other things and self-care things. And nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yep. Nope, that is true. It's you got to take that on your own and focus on that.
Yeah, I admire people who are the type that get up early and maybe go for a jog or go for a bike ride, and they're doing 10 and 14 miles before I even get out of bed. I'm always like, wow, that's amazing. I love it. I want to be one of them one day. I don't know.
I had a friend in my office. He's since passed away. His name was Mike, but he ran at least a mile every single day of his life for 50 years.
Gosh.
Rain or shine, he would get up and run at least a mile. Sometimes it would be the weather's too bad, he would hop on a treadmill, but he did a mile every day for over 50 years.
That's admirable.
It is. I wish I had that mindset to be able to focus and do that. Maybe one day that I'll get better at the gym side of things.
But you got to schedule it in the same way you would an important appointment with a client. That's the only, and you have to trick your brain that this is just as important as the other. When I went to college up in Massachusetts, I took an elective jogging. It was a jogging 1-credit course. Yeah. So it didn't matter. That was the course. It didn't matter if it was snowing outside. It didn't matter if it was raining. It didn't matter what the weather was. And I ended up loving it. I don't jog now, but I did end up loving it. And I ended up loving running in the rain. And, even the whole process of, because if you haven't run ever or in a while, it takes a little while to build up to it. So for me, it's walk a block, run a half a block, run a block, walk. And then next thing you know, though, you're running the whole block and walking a block. And then next thing you know, you're running 2 blocks. And it's a really cool thing to watch yourself evolve, but also to do it rain or shine and end up really appreciating the different, weather conditions and still doing it and feeling good about it. It's cool.
Yep,
yeah. So I'll know now next time I see you to see how you're doing on your exercise.
Sounds good.
Has there ever been a point during your career where you felt like quitting, this is it, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore?
Maybe 100 times.
And
particularly earlier in the career, it's building a financial service practice is hard. when I came out of college and started, it was 100% commission job. There was no salary. I mean, it takes time to build up revenue. Investments take a long time to build up revenue because you're paid as a percentage, and it takes time for that to build up. And insurance sales is a longer process, so there's a lot of hard times. Rejection was tough. 2008 was tough years. Starting in '04, I just kind of started to build up my practice, and then I'd moved to that office above the Palace Saloon. And then '08 happened, and I used to joke around and say, or not joke around, but I used to say that in 2006 and 7, I had more of my clients become millionaires. And then in 8 and 9, I had more of my clients file for bankruptcy than I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I bet I had 30 or 40 clients file for bankruptcy in 9 and 10. I worked with a lot of realtors, a lot of mortgage brokers, a lot of land developers and real estate people.
Yeah.
And it was a very rough time for a lot of them. So there's a lot of times I felt like quitting. I used to think that, and I'd have conversations with some of the mentors in my office, and I felt like I cared more about their family sometimes than they did. Particularly in the beginning, doing a lot of the life insurance, and I would see the families, or see the parents that would never buy life insurance, and they just say, if I'm dead, who cares? And I couldn't get over that mindset. That hurt me, and it made it tough. But then part of that was just me realizing that rejection was not about me. It was more about what was going on in their world and their life.
Right.
I think if you're in any career, if you haven't thought about quitting, you're probably not working hard enough.
Or don't care about it enough, or
don't
something.
care about it enough. Yeah. Because if it's that easy, you're just not putting in enough effort. You're not trying to grow. You're not trying to build something. So if you never thought about quitting, you're not working hard enough.
I agree with that, Dallas. I think that's a great assessment there. So what do you think brought you back each of those times and kept you going?
Part of it was I became unemployable. I had been self-employed long enough that I don't think anybody would hire me.
I can see that.
So nobody would put up with my BS, so nobody would hire me. I couldn't find a job if I wanted to. And at some point, the income became, part of the unemployable part is the income became more than what anybody would ever be willing to pay me anywhere else. And I guess also once you develop a skill level and you focused in one direction, all my knowledge and expertise was siloed here. So there wasn't a different career path that I could just jump in and take without taking a substantial, reduction in lifestyle and income.
Yeah.
But really, I guess what really kind of brought me back though is the stories, hearing the new stories. And that's all it would take is, be having a bad week and then get in front of one client and, go through that fact-finding process with them and just hear their stories, hear their dreams, and to get amped back up and kind of, put the energy back in the tank and get moving forward.
What would you say was one of your best memories with something like that?
Probably one of the coolest ones I had that I always remembered is I had a client of mine that was in sales at his parents' company, and he said, man, I want to own a restaurant one day. And he had never been in the restaurant business, or never been in the industry, never even a waiter, but he just had an idea that he wanted to be in the restaurant business and get out of sales. And that was in one of our initial meetings, and we'd put together the plan, and he started saving money, and we did some life insurance and different stuff to help him out temporarily. And then about 8 or 9 years later, he had his first restaurant. And then he had his second restaurant, and he's been a successful restaurateur in Jacksonville and the beaches. And it's kind of cool just kind of watching that unfold and change for him. And, just something that I remembered. Like I said, a lot of stories like that, but just seeing clients continue to achieve their dreams, retire. I really like that when I can tell people, hey, you can retire whenever you're ready. It's there. I got a client that I got a call after this call that he emailed me last week, and he said, September 26th, that's the date. are we still good to go? And I said, yep, we are.
Oh, wow.
And so he's 10 days away from his retirement. I got another call to him today as we wrap up some stuff, and just watching people be able to achieve that goal.
Wow, that makes me want to tear up. That is exciting. I could see that would be really cool to be a part of that and have been a part of it.
You get to celebrate all these little milestones. I had a friend who recently opened up a brand new business, and been able to watch her success and get a business up and going, something that she's been talking to me about for the last year and a half, and getting it up and going. It's that's fun to watch. It's like you're a part of that dream. You get to ride along, and it gives you that that euphoric feeling that they get. But maybe I don't get the stress of the business side of them for them, but I get to watch the dream come true.
Right. Well, I could understand that. So what's your belief around how important it is to have fun at what you're doing?
And
Do you have fun? Let me ask you, do you have fun at what you do? Like when you go to work for the day, do you truly, genuinely enjoy it?
Aspects of my business, 100% I enjoy it. Other aspects, I don't. I do not like paperwork one bit. And in my industry, there's a lot of paperwork, and it's got to be very, you got to dot your I's, cross your T's. It's got to be very specific, and it's got to be very accurate. And so what I've done is hire staff for and to do the things that you don't like to do, which focuses, my job really, if I'm doing a really good job and hired the right staff, is I should only be seeing clients. And that's what I love doing. If I'm in front of clients and in front of prospects every day, and that's all I have to do, then 100% I'm loving life. I'm loving my business and having lots of fun doing it. That's what I've been building.
Yeah. That goes back to what that book from the 1800s said. And it's a mastermind group, like having people that help you in the areas that you don't excel in. And therefore you can do what you love and turn those other things and delegate to the other folks, because that's what they love. So it's a win-win, Yep.
Somebody told me early on is, look at what you like to do, look at what your hourly rate is for doing those, and hire somebody else to do everything else. And the sooner that you can do that in your business, the better it is. In fact, I give that advice a lot to some of my construction clients, and I'll see them whether they're construction or they're plumbers or AC guys, and they're just starting a business. And my number one recommendation to them is, first thing you need to do is hire an office staff that will run your calendar and take your calls. If you do that, you think it will cost you money, and it will. You have to pay somebody's salary, but you can focus on the job, get the job done, and go to the next job while they're handling all and answering the phone call. Because if you're in that industry and they call you and you're on a job and you can't answer your phone, they're calling the next person. There's not a lot of alliance or allegiance to one company when somebody's AC is not working and they can't get a hold of you, or if their toilet's backed up and you're a plumber and you're not answering your phone, they're calling the next person.
Yeah, that would have been nice to have somebody tell me that early on. But I can remember, again, as a mental trainer, doing private sessions and realizing, like, coming to this point where I couldn't do it all. I couldn't see the clients. I was also, making hypnosis audios, but the phone calls, the emails, the administrative things, but feeling like I didn't have enough money to hire somebody. At the same time, knowing that if I hired somebody, like, a whole world would open up, and just being on the fence. And I had been that way multiple times over the years.
And it's hard to hire somebody when the revenue's not there and expecting the revenue to be generated by that new person. That's hard mindset to get around. But most of the time, that's the truth. If you hire that person, your revenue will more than make up for what the cost is of hiring that person.
For sure. And it's worth taking that leap of faith. So that's what it feels like.
A lot of times it is.
Have you ever found yourself, when you are doing the part that you love, Have you ever found yourself in the zone or the flow, like meaning everything seems to disappear around you? You look up and it's dark already and time has flown by and you're just engrossed in that moment. Have you had that happen?
I'd say multiple times in my life I remember that. Now in my business today, it's when I have a booked solid day, when I've got 6 or 7 appointments and I'm just going from appointment to appointment to appointment, the day flies by. I'm, in the zone. And before I realize it, it's 5 o'clock and the day's over and I get home and I'm exhausted. But you're always on point. The first time I really remembered feeling that, I was waiting tables at the Veranda restaurant on Million Island Plantation. And, I would notice that when we had a slow night, I would make mistakes. I only had 1 table or 2 tables. I'd forget somebody wanted a soup, or I'd forget that I needed to get, refill some wine or whatever it is. But if I had 6 tables going at once and I was as busy as I could be, I didn't make a mistake. And it was
Yeah.
because I was kind of in that zone and I didn't have time to think about anything else other than what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And so you didn't make a mistake then. But I think when things are slower, your mind can deviate and you can try to think about other things. And that's when you make mistakes. So
I
being
love
in
that
the zone
you,
is awesome.
yeah, I love that you observed that being a waiter, because what you just reminded me of is like golfers or even some of the clay shooters. So, but golf in particular, the amount of time between like taking that shot, teeing off, then walking to go take the next shot, their mind can go crazy, right? So they can have all this chatter depending on if they're doing well, not doing well, the weather, the place, their wife, it could be anything. And so I've observed working with athletes that if the sport is more compressed, then there's less time for that problematic thinking. And had this one client, he was a footballer, soccer overseas, and he was switching over to golf. And he was absolutely used to that going, not having all that time to think and the mind to get in the way. And he was not transitioning well. And I could clearly see exactly what you're saying. Like that was why he wasn't used to having to manage his mind. Because when you're in the moment and there's one thing after another happening, you can truly be in that moment and not overthink or overanalyze or doubt or even fear or second guess, like all of those obstacles. And the more time you have, the more it can settle in.
If you don't have time, it's pure instinct. And if you've done the practice and you've logged the reps, then your body takes over and it does what it's supposed to. But if you have all that
Exactly.
extra time, then you get in the way of your own instincts sometimes.
Yeah, there's a quote I'm not remembering the whole thing, but it's just about a person in general. Like the idle mind can blah, 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 like whatever it was, like gets you in trouble, right? Like if you aren't keeping yourself busy and you're just sitting around and letting things fester,
Yep.
it can be problematic. Yeah. So where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, I hope my office is, back on Amelia Island. 5 to 10 years, my kids will be, in middle school and in high school. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of kids' sports and activities going on to keep me busy and just continuing to build my business here in Fernandina. I don't see a huge difference other than just continuing to grow and build.
You had
And
said
spend
like
time with family.
about 80% of your clients are in Fernandina, even though your office currently isn't there right now, right?
Maybe about 60% is in Fernandina. I'd have to go back and look at it. It might be more now, but yeah. I mean, from when I first started my business, I didn't know a single person in Jacksonville. So all my clients in the beginning were in Fernandina. And so I've always had a pretty big base of Fernandina clients, and still a lot of my relationships are here in Fernandina. So I've continued to build that for sure.
What would be one piece of advice or wisdom that you'd pass on? I would say related to having a career where you are like an entrepreneur, you're doing a lot for yourself, but also related to, let's say, finances or life insurance. Like if you could just pass on one bit of wisdom, what would it be in those areas?
Let's see, for a business owner, the one piece of advice that I have is forward direction, just one foot after another. Just keep inching yourself closer and closer to that goal. Try not to get distracted by everything else that's out there. If you continue to do that time and time again, you're gonna reach your goal. For the financial side of things, I would say start investing as soon as possible. Open up a Roth IRA when you're 16 years old and you got your first job. If you can put away $20 a month or $50 a month, do it and put it away, because the time value of money and compounding is amazing what it can do when you start younger. I always have clients that tell me when they're in their 30s, man, I wish I'd have started this when I was in my 20s. My clients in my 40s say, man, I wish I'd have done this when I was in my 30s. So every generation tells me, hey, I wish I'd have done this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you know you're going to be thinking that, start doing it today, because it'll pay huge dividends long run.
Nice. That's great advice. Anything else you like to share?
Trying to think if there's anything else. If I'd say one thing for nonprofits, one of the things that I do a lot with is Ducks Unlimited. We're actually having coming up November 14th in Fernandina. It's the world's largest wetlands conservation group. I've really been passionate about that and been doing a lot of things. Our dinner gala has continued to grow, where now we're pushing, just over 200 people every time we have an event. We've grown out of multiple locations that we've had events at, and continue just to have record events every year for fundraising. And it's a great time. I say it's probably one of the best dinner events to go to on the island. It's not pretentious. We have a great time and put in great work. I think last year in all of Florida, we raised $3.4 million for wetland conservation. Yep. That's to the state of Florida. And Adam Putnam is our new CEO, or not new anymore. He's been there for a couple of years with Ducks Unlimited. And because his connections to Florida, they're sending millions of dollars back into Florida for wetlands conservation. So I think we've got between $15 and $30 million worth of work on the books in the state of Florida over the next several years. So there's a lot of money going back here for conservation. So
yeah, we had Ducks Unlimited at our pole barn at the Shotgun Club for dinner auction, and it was booming. We could barely fit you in, and I could see how you've outgrown your spaces.
Yep. That was a place we outgrew. We were only there for 1 year, and it was tight as can be that year. And we grew out of Walker's Landing. We're at Walker's Landing for a while and we couldn't fit in there anymore. The year at your barn, it was also pouring rain. If you remember that, there was rain everywhere.
Yes.
But we still had a great banquet. We raised a lot of money that year, and we had a great time. Now we have a secondary event that's going on in Callahan. That one's at the barn at Cottonwood Ranch.
Nice.
The one here in Fernandina is at the Amelia River Golf Club at their venue, which I believe they're building a brand new. They used to have a tent there, and they're building a brand new building there. So that'll be nice. Beautiful spot right on the river. I think they do a lot of weddings and corporate events, stuff like that. And same with the barn at Cottonwood Ranch. They do the same stuff. And if you've never been there, that is an amazing venue.
I've heard about it. Yeah, I've looked it up.
It's probably one of the best venues that Ducks Unlimited across the entire state has.
I bet it is.
Beautiful spot.
It looks really beautiful. Great thing that they're doing there. Well, cool. I wanted to let all the listeners know that they can get free goodies, whether it's from my mental training, my Mind Mastered app, or even at Amelia Shotgun Sports. You can get a free golf cart or push cart rental if you go to dongrant.com/free. And Dallas, what's your contact info? Emails, websites? How can people get a hold of you?
Yep. I believe my website is dallas.hempstead.nm.
Okay.
And my email is dallas.hempstead@nm.com. If you Google me, you can find me and all my information as well. The office phone number is 904-598-3614. And that goes to my staff. And if you wanted to set up a a consultation or an introduction that could help get that scheduled and set up.
Nice. Do you do social media? You got any pages for people to follow?
Oh, so I think so. I've got a marketing staff that handles all my social media. I think I've got Instagram, but I'm not 100% sure. We do have LinkedIn and a Facebook page that I know for sure. I believe there's a social or an Instagram out there, but again, she handles all that. I don't spend much any time on it.
I kind of like that you don't know. That's kind of a good thing.
She does a great job, and so I just let her run with it, and I go from there.
Yeah, right. Well, folks can follow me or all of my businesses on social media. And Dallas, I really enjoy getting to know you better and hearing about what you offer and how you've succeeded over all these years. And definitely would like to see how that keeps going for you. So thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I had fun and enjoyed talking with you. And I know we'll see you around town here.
Sounds great.
We still got to do a DU shoot at Amelia Shotgun Sports too. We got to figure that out one day.
It's the thing. People, our corporate and charity shoots are growing, thank goodness, because that's really what helps shotgun clubs stay in the green. So word's getting out, and we would love to have you guys. I have a person, I have a coordinator that will walk you right through the entire process. And yeah, so great way to do some fundraising for sure. Especially with your group of people. I mean, it fits right in perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I know our Jacksonville group, they do a shotgun tournament in Jacksonville every year. But, it'd be nicer to have something closer to home here.
I'm fully all about supporting Nassau County businesses. If you're a Nassau County business yourself, the Sheriff's Department had taken their annual shoot to Jacksonville, and I'd made some comments about it on their page, and they came back. Like, why would Nassau County Sheriff's Department go to Duval County for their shoot when you can come to Nassau County Clay Sporting Club? So they did come back. Next would be the Nassau Builders Association. They used to come to my club and started going to Jacksonville, and maybe one day they'll come back. But we would love to have you guys. I did go to the DU event in Jacksonville several months ago. So
Good.
Cool. Well, great, Dallas. Thanks again.
Good catching up.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Don Grant. Whether you're an elite athlete or pursuing success in your career or personal life, Don Grant's expertise and insights are here to guide you. Don't forget to visit dongrant.com/free to grab your exclusive free resources, hypnosis audios, mental training tools, and even a golf cart at her club. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow, rate, and share this podcast. Stay connected with Dawn on all social media platforms for more inspiration, tips, and updates. Remember, mastering your mind is the key to unlocking your full potential. Until next time, keep pushing your limits and striving for excellence.